Hi Aquarius, and welcome to your September 2024 horoscope. On September 2nd, we have Uranus going retrograde. Uranus is going retrograde in your 4th house of family, and it will be retrograde until January of 2025. So you might be quite reflective, quite introspective about the family expectations and the family dynamics. Whether you're showing up with your family in a way that is uniquely yours, or whether you're showing up in a way that society thinks you should show up. On September 2nd, we also have Pluto retrograding all the way back into the sign of Capricorn, which for you is your 12th house. So Pluto will be in Capricorn not for too long, until mid-November, but it will still give us some chance to reflect back on any fears that we still might have around spirituality and around compassion. For you, it's again going back into your 12th house, so you will be asked to reflect on whether you have truly stepped into your power when it comes to your spirituality. The day after, on September 3rd, we have a new moon in Virgo, which is your 8th house. So a new moon represents a new beginning. You could be starting something new with your partner, and something new, it could be a taboo thing that you're starting with your partner. It could be that you are starting to be much more vulnerable, open, and intimate with them as well. However, I don't see this new beginning going as easily from the start. And this is because we have two aspects during the new moon that can make it a bit more challenging. One of them is a square between Mars and Neptune, and the other a conjunction between Venus and the South Node. The square between Mars and Neptune is putting in the conversation your 5th and 2nd house. So it could be that you are putting a lot of your energy towards having fun, towards enjoying life, towards focusing on your hobbies, avoiding those more intense, intimate topics with your partner. But there's also some attention that is required by your finances. There's also some attention that's required when it comes to you feeling like you are capable of supporting yourself. So you can see how this can make this new start in vulnerability and intimacy more challenging. You don't feel very confident in your ability to provide of yourself. You don't feel maybe as much self-esteem or self-love for yourself. You don't, and as a result, you end up focusing a lot more on some lightweight topics, on having fun, having a good time, and it can make it much more difficult to really dive deep and have an intimate partnership with somebody. At the same time, we also have Venus conjunct the South Node. They are conjunct in your 9th house, so there might be some belief systems, philosophy of life, a lifestyle that doesn't fit you anymore, that feels comfortable, but it's not really for you anymore. And as you start to sort of be vulnerable and intimate with somebody, it might start to become apparent that you have this belief that is not serving you anymore and that you need to let it go. A couple of days later, Mars enters Cancer, or your 6th house. This means that your drive and motivation is going to be more focused on day-to-day activities, making sure you get lots of sleep, that you eat good food, that you take care of your body, those types of activities. However, let's continue just for a little bit to talk about your vulnerability and your intimacy, because even though the new moon is going to come and go, we have the sun remaining in your 8th house for the majority of September. While it's there, it's going to have some more difficult aspects. Specifically on September 8th, the sun is going to oppose Saturn, and then later on September 12th, the sun is going to square Jupiter. So on the 8th, when the sun is opposing Saturn, you might really feel this pull between, I want to be intimate and vulnerable with somebody, but I really don't feel like I am capable of that. I don't feel complete on my own yet. I don't feel confident in myself yet to be able to give myself the space to actually get closer to somebody else. And then later on the 12th, when it squares Jupiter, Jupiter is in your 5th house. So we see, even though Jupiter is a good planet, we see again this tension with you wanting to maybe step away from intimacy and the serious, vulnerable conversations and just being like, oh, well, we can just, go do something fun, go to a cafe and rent a movie as a way to sort of avoid some of these more scary conversations. Later in the month, on September 16th, we have Mars squaring the North and the South Node. Mars is in your 6th house. Remember, it entered the 6th house earlier in September. And the North and the South Node are in your 3rd and 9th house. So the North Node in your 9th house for the last year has been asking you to draw your attention away from this sort of more big picture thinking and a little bit more towards the local environment, a little bit more towards the here and now, remaining open to ideas, remaining open and listening to others' opinions, remaining open to literally your local community, your siblings, your neighbors. And during the square with Mars, there might be something happening with your routine that is forcing you to do that is forcing you to engage with your neighbors. I can imagine something changing in your routine and requiring you to all of a sudden start going to your gym together with your siblings, so that it's really forcing you more into that local focus, more of that being open, curious, and just available on more of a day-to-day basis. And forcing you is a strong word. I should say more like asking you to. And then, of course, you're welcome to react in any way you'd like. And then finally, we get to our lunar eclipse. So yes, we are in eclipse season. We have on the 18th a partial lunar eclipse, and then we have the final eclipse of the year later in October. But this partial lunar eclipse on the 18th is a full moon in Pisces. For you, Aquarius, this is your 2nd house. So you might be getting some sort of revelation or some sort of understanding when it comes to your finances, when it comes to your self-love and self-esteem. This is the sign of Pisces. Neptune is also very close by to the eclipse. So you might especially be getting a sort of revelation that feels a bit more woo-woo, more high-level, abstract, a more spiritual revelation. And it might feel like, well, okay, what do I do with this? Like, it's not like I can apply it. It's not very tangible. But I would really encourage you just to sit with it and to give it space. Sometimes these more abstract revelations or knowledges or realizations can have a bigger impact on us than we might realize. And then keep in mind, during this lunar eclipse, we have 3 planets in retrograde. We have Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, all in retrograde. So take this lunar eclipse to be alone. Be silent, focus on your spiritual practices, whatever they may be, so that you're truly able to hear and receive whatever this lunar eclipse is bringing for you. And then I know I said that Neptune is quite close by during this eclipse. However, it's not exact. The exact opposition between Neptune and the Sun happens a couple of days later on September 21st. So you might continue to feel this Piscean, spiritual, more flowy type of energy a couple of days after the lunar eclipse up until the 21st. On September 22nd, we have Pluto being brought into the conversation. Pluto has been quite silent during most of September, but then towards the end it speaks up again. So on September 22nd, Pluto has 2 aspects. A more challenging one, which is a square with Venus, and a slightly more supportive one, which is a trine with the sun. The challenging aspect with Venus, it could be that there is something happening in your school, in your educational program, something happening with your travel that is tapping into this power that you may or may not have found in your spirituality. So you really get to learn now whether the Pluto transit through your 12th house has taught you anything, and you really get to apply that here. The supportive aspect with the sun in the 8th house, there's almost like this vulnerability that you've been practicing with your partner for the whole month of September is like fueling you, is really helping you step into this beautiful power of what it means to be spiritual, what it means to be compassionate, what it means to be understanding of all of us and the human condition. And let's close off with the final 2 aspects of the month. On September 29th, we have the Sun conjunct the South Node. And we've seen the South Node come up quite a few times during the month of September. We've talked about this tendency that you might have around zooming out and making large picture extractions of everything, not remaining present, curious, open to everything that's happening around you. And on this day especially, it might become apparent to you why you do that. It might become apparent to you that in some way it feeds your ego and makes it feel okay, makes it feel comfortable and safe. And you might also realize why you need to let it go, why it doesn't serve you anymore, and that you need to reach for something better. And then finally, we close off the month on September 30th with Mars trining Saturn. So a bit more of a supportive aspect between your house of routines and your house of finances. So honestly, it could be that the routine that you've been sticking to is supporting your finances, maybe bringing you some extra money. It could be that it's really making you feel more self-confident in yourself, making you love yourself more because you're showing up for yourself and taking good care of yourself. But it could also work the other way. The hard work that you've been putting into loving yourself, into feeling confident in your own skin, is making it so much more easier for you all of a sudden to work out, to eat good food, to sleep better. So they definitely work in tandem with each other. So overall, Aquarius, quite a bit of focus for you this month on intimacy with your partner, not being afraid to have the difficult conversations. And then, of course, there's this need for you to stay open and curious and present in the here and now, instead of zooming out and abstracting everything and thinking of philosophies or ideas that you could, boxes that you could categorize everything into. I hope this horoscope helps you out, helps you understand what you can expect for the month ahead. And of course, I wanted to thank you for 1,000 subscribers. We reached it sometime last month, I believe. So thanks to everybody who subscribed. And that means that we also have a giveaway winner. Rosie Roses 85. Please go to my channel, click on the community tab, reach out to me there so that we can go ahead and schedule your free reading. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.